Govan, we spoke with Malungelo Boy as well, who was at the informal settlement where the young Moshoeu grew up. The community there still feeling very much this morning disappointed at what they believe was not long enough sentences, but as we're reporting, AfriForum is going to help Skete and Dworevar to appeal those sentences. That town, Coligny, where you are, has been racially divided for a long time, but for some reason it looks like for the people who are really wanting reconciliation, they are using the death of Moshoeu to build racial harmony.
They are indeed, Bradan, and this is a project that's been 2.5 years in the making. It followed immediately from the protest that erupted after Moshoeu was killed, and essentially we saw a large group of people from the Tlabolakgang township just outside of the town itself and members of the farming community in Coligny face off in front of the magistrate's court. Racial tensions were then very high, and that's when we saw the religious leaders and some leaders of political parties stepping in to try and start what they called a reconciliation project. It's a freedom project, and it essentially involves about 100 people from both the township and the town who come together a few times a week to do a few projects around the town. So far, they've painted more than 8 buildings in the town, and they've also embarked on a cleanup campaign. This is all in a bid to try and foster non-racialism in the town and to repair the relationship, particularly between the farmers and their workers. That relationship was, of course, very fictitious just after the death of Moshoeu, and especially after the funeral of Moshoeu, where we saw the former Northwest Premier Supra Mahumapelo condemning the farmers of Coligny for what he said was supporting racists who had killed this young teenager. Of course, it would be interesting to see how AfriForum's bid to appeal this guilty conviction on murder would affect this reconciliation project, because from what we understand, it's been a struggle for the religious leaders to recruit people to this project and to try and get them to take part in the projects over the weekend. Yesterday, this is the same Domini that we spoke of quite earlier, Domini TV Peter. Yesterday he told us that after the death and after they were going to trial, he managed to secure a lot of support from people across the spectrum here in Coligny. But after the guilty verdict and after the sentence, he's not sure how that would be affected. So it seems as if this reconciliation project may hang in the balance depending on how that appeal goes by AfriForum.
Yeah, and being a farming community in rural South Africa, one will wonder about what other efforts might be made to improve the quality of the lives of the people there, because I'm sure the farm workers don't earn a lot of money at all.
Yes, indeed, Bradan. And since Moshoeu was killed, we've seen a handful of farmers really trying to change the way that they interact with the people of the Tlabolakgang township and the Scotland section where Moshoeu was from. We've heard of farmers who have started giving things away, particularly building supplies in the township to help the people re-establish their community. Of course, the Scotland section where Moshoeu was from hardly has any services. There's no water infrastructure there, or sanitation infrastructure, or basic street lights. And we also know that most of the structures in that area are just made from corrugated iron and wood, which the people usually salvage from the nearby farms or the cash and carries, which are operated by the farmers. So we've seen some of those farmers trying to assist the community in the Scotland section of the township, but also we've seen some of the community members trying to repair the relationship with the farmers and trying to get the people to have a better view of the farmers. Before Moshoeu died, Bradan, racism was still a huge topic here in Coligny. We know that there have been a number of cases where farm workers have reported to police alleged racism on the farm, and we know that Moshoeu was also not the first person to have been caught stealing sunflowers on that specific farm and beaten up for it. Just shortly after the funeral, I managed to speak to his uncle, who said that he had endured the same thing, and it was a regular occurrence in Coligny where school school children who have to walk long distances to and from school end up cutting through the farms and taking sunflowers because they don't have anything to eat. And the problem here in Coligny seems to be the attitude of the farmers towards those people. And it seems as if this reconciliation project is aimed at changing those attitudes.
Well, whether it will succeed or not, only time will tell. Thank you very much. Govan Whittle's on the ground there in Coligny on the morning after the sentencing of those two men for the killing of Moshoeu 2 years ago for stealing a sunflower.